You remember when the Xbox 360 graphics looked like something from another planet? Well, some of those games still blow people away today. Check out this list of 7 games that still teach a masterclass in beauty. There's classics, surprises, and even games you never thought looked that good. Welcome to Games Insights. I'm Arthur. The Xbox 360 was one of the most iconic consoles in history, and part of that success came from the incredible graphics it delivered. Even without all the power of today's consoles, some games from that era still look stunning. So go ahead and leave a like and subscribe to the channel, because I'm about to show you the 7 most visually insane Xbox 360 games. Gears of War. When Gears of War dropped, it totally changed the game in terms of graphics and realism. Epic Games brought the power of Unreal Engine 3, which was revolutionary at the time, and the result was a dark, brutal world with ultra-detailed textures, massive character, and visual effects that blew you away with every explosion. The game stood out for its use of dynamic lighting and real-time shadows, which gave everything a much more immersive and cinematic feel. The war-torn setting against the Locusts became even more convincing thanks to the decaying environments with ruins, rubble, and a level of destruction that few games of the time could match. Another thing that grabbed attention was the physics of bodies and blood, which added a level of brutality that was unheard of in shooters back then. The effect of torrential rains and thick fog in some stages also helped create that heavy, oppressive atmosphere. All of this made Gears of War one of the most realistic and visually stunning Xbox 360 games, setting a new standard for graphics in the generation. Halo Reach? Halo Reach was a game-changer for the franchise's graphics. Bungie pushed the Xbox 360 to its limits, delivering vast, detailed environments with an insane lighting system for its time. The game brought dynamic light effects, well-crafted shadows, and an atmosphere that made everything feel more cinematic. Plus, the character and vehicle models were upgraded with sharper textures and a richness of detail that made the tragic story of Noble Team even more immersive. Another highlight was the Sky of Reach, which changed depending on the mission, offering epic sunsets, electric storms, and even space battles happening in the background. The color palette also helped create an amazing contrast between the intense action moments and the more reflective one. All of this made Halo Reach not just one of the prettiest games on Xbox 360, but also one of the most artistically memorable in the series. Fable 3 brought a vibrant, stylized world full of details with a look that seemed straight out of a dark fairy tale. Lionhead Studios created incredibly detailed environments, mixing medieval and Renaissance architecture with a color palette that changed depending on the game's atmosphere. Every city, forest, and castle had a unique visual identity, which made exploration even more immersive. One of the game's graphic highlights was the dynamic lighting system, which made the golden sunrises and red sunsets look cinematic. The fog in some areas, combined with the glow of street lamps at night, gave a special charm to the villages and castles. Also, the characters had very well-crafted facial expressions for the time, which helped bring life to the interactions and the series' signature humor. The spells were also a visual show in themselves. Lightning, fireballs, and magical blasts had fluid, glowing effects that made the combat feel more dynamic and spectacular. Forza Motorsport 4. If there was ever a game that made the Xbox 360 feel like next-gen hardware, it was Forza Motorsport 4. Turn 10 Studios took the graphics to a whole new level with ultra-detailed car model, realistic reflections, shiny paint jobs, and even subtle wear marks on the vehicles. Each car looked like a perfect digital version of the real thing with insanely detailed interiors, down to the tiniest buttons on the dashboard. But it wasn't just the cars that improved. The tracks and environments were a spectacle too. The improved lighting system created more natural shadow and a radiant sun effect that changed depending on the car's position on the track. Plus, the details in the surrounding landscapes were impressive with realistic vegetation, water puddle reflections, and weather effects that made everything feel even more immersive. Another standout feature was the Auto Vista mode, where you could explore the cars up close with narration and technical details about each model. It was almost like an interactive car museum, with graphics so realistic you could even see the leather textures on the seats. Alan Wake. Alan Wake was one of the most cinematic games on Xbox 360, and a huge part of that came from its impressive use of light and shadow. Remedy Entertainment created a game where lighting wasn't just aesthetic, it was essential to gameplay. The contrast between oppressive darkness and beams of light from flashlights, lampposts, and car headlights created a tense and immersive atmosphere, perfect for the psychological horror the game was aiming for. The fog and particle effects also helped reinforce this vibe. In many scenes, the thick fog covered the environments in a dynamic way, making each forest, road, and small town even more mysterious. Also, Remedy used an advanced dynamic shadow system that reacted to the player's movement and the environment in a realistic way, something few games of the time could do with such precision. The environments in Alan Wake were rich in detail, ranging from dense forests and small towns to mountain landscapes, all recreated with stunning realism. The sense of isolation was reinforced by the sound design and the lighting effects, which made every environment feel alive or threatening. Another standout was the cinematic cutscenes and visual effects used to represent the supernatural influence of darkness. The world seemed to distort and shake when enemies appeared, creating a nightmare-like feeling that made every encounter more intense. El Shaddai Ascension of the Metatron. El Shaddai Ascension of the Metatron is a game that stands out for its unique visual approach and narrative. Inspired by ancient religious texts like the Book of Enoch, the game combines elements of action, platforming, and puzzles with a fluid, strategic combat system where you can steal weapons from enemies and purify them to maintain their effectiveness. The game's visuals are a blend of artistic styles, ranging from surrealistic environments to vibrant colors and minimalist designs, almost like a moving work of art. Each chapter presents a distinct aesthetic, from celestial landscapes to dark, distorted environments, reflecting the duality between the divine and the chaotic. Crackdown. Crackdown was one of the most stylized and visually impactful games on Xbox 360, offering a vibrant open world packed with action. Unlike games that aimed for realism, Crackdown went for a more stylized graphic style with vivid colors, intense lighting, and almost comic book-like design. This visual approach helped create a contrast between the brutality of the action and the exaggerated tone of the game. Pacific City was a true playground of destruction. The tall buildings, neon-lit neighborhoods, and bustling streets created a dynamic, lively environment. At night, the city lights shone brightly, reflecting off the cars and wet pavement, creating an impressive look for the time. But the real spectacle of Crackdown was in the visual effects of explosions and destruction. Each gunfight triggered a shower of particles, fire, and debris flying everywhere. The game's physics allowed cars, enemies, and even smaller structures to be sent flying, creating spontaneous cinematic moments. Out of these 7 games, which one do you think still impresses with its graphics? Drop a comment and let me know which Xbox 360 game you think should have been on this list. And hey, I'm just starting out on YouTube. This is my first channel, and I'm putting all my love into this project. So if you could help me out by leaving a like on this video and subscribing to the channel, it would mean a lot. Your subscription motivates us to keep making more gaming content. Thanks a ton for your support, and see you later, alligator.